And then it's really rewarding and it's fun and it's a lot more exciting for some reason for someone to make like, we have right now we had one community member that like crushed it and made 98K on his first novation deal. So he was like
Wow. That
ecstatic, ecstatic about that.
damn.
Yeah, we have another one that's doing his first wholesale deal 73K. So like, I
Jake,
mean,
we're in the wrong market, Jake.
I know we are. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
yeah. I mean, it's South Florida. You play with bigger
Big
numbers. So
numbers, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mike and Jake Show. We have special guest Aidelys here with us today. Mike Bazzadona, as always. Aidelys, great to be with you. Can you introduce yourself to everybody and tell us what you do?
yeah, it's actually Aidelys, but
Oh,
I will forgive Jake for his
I've been
pronunciation.
saying it like that for a while.
It's Aidelys. It's okay. It took my boyfriend, who's been with me for 6 years, like a little bit of time to say my name right. So it's all good.
Do you have a nickname?
Liz is kind of like my fake prospecting name because
Okay, never mind. We're not calling you that.
yeah, because when I call sellers, like I mean, they're already upset that you're calling them about their house, and then having to figure out how to say my name is like, you know,
Yeah. It's tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit about me. So I've actually been in real estate. I actually was looking back to prep, like how long have I been doing this? I almost forgot. It's a century. It's I started in 2016, so I've been a real estate agent, now an investor. So I'm a real estate agent, I'm an investor, and nothing. I've been doing residential sales, investment sales, and now a big bulk of my business is doing the investment side of things. And then I'm also helping other people and agents get into the investment side and kind of make that transition that I made. So that's something I'm really passionate about right now.
So you're a licensed real estate agent, right? And
Yeah,
what's your primary market?
South Florida. I've been in South Florida for 9 years now.
So that's like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all the way up to Palm Beach or something like that?
Pretty much where all the fun happens.
Yeah. That's big money.
Yeah, it
Big
is.
money,
That's
big
big money.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say investments, what are you helping out investors with? You're helping them find fix and flips, rental properties, land. What actually are you doing helping an investor?
Yeah, so we have pretty much an investment company and we focus on marketing to distressed sellers. And then once the lead comes into the pipeline, what we've gotten really good at is understanding different exit strategies. So we do novations, we do creative finance, we do fix and flips, we have some Airbnbs, and then we also wholesale. So depending on where the opportunity is. And then I'm also licensed, so I leverage that as well. So if it's not a cash deal or a creative deal or innovation, then we just convert into a listing and we're able to kind of capitalize on every opportunity that way.
So pretty much you're not losing a lead.
No, no
Yeah.
lead left behind. Off of Wall Street.
Well, that's how it should be,
Wall Street
you
strike.
know?
Yeah, and I mean, it took us a while to get there because when I transitioned into doing more of the investment side of things, I went through a wholesaling mastermind, and they were like, just wholesale, don't do anything else. And then a lot of times when you're in business, you listen to like a coach or a mentor, and you think like, hey, this is the path that I need to take against your own kind of intuition. And then like 6 months into it, we were like, you know what? Let's get really good at just all exit strategies and figure out kind of what aligns with us in our business model, and that's been the difference maker for us, not just wholesaling, doing all these other strategies.
Yeah, because I feel like as a wholesale, I wholesale before. Now I do new construction, fix and flips, but more new construction. And just if you just wholesale, that's all I have to offer you is that I want to put your house on the contract and sell to somebody. But if you like, Jake is very good at this. I mean, he has win-win situations for everybody. And then I had to start branching out, sub to owner finance. If you don't ask those questions, you never know. And I see a lot of these wholesalers, what, Jake, probably 3 4 years ago, they're just putting these houses on the contract way too high. They're never going to sell it. They're really hurting that distressed property owner.
Yeah, and I would say sorry, I still don't know how to pronounce it. How do you say it again? Ada,
Aidelys. But the
Idol,
Americans call me Aidelys.
Aidelys.
That's what I was going to
I'll be
say.
a gringo over here.
It's all good, Gringo land. It's okay.
So you're probably in one of the most competitive markets there is. How are you differentiating yourself from other people?
Yeah, the thing about us is we do deals locally, but we also do deals virtually. So we expanded and we're doing, for example, we do virtual wholesaling all over Florida. And then down here, we have obviously more exit strategies. So we only fix and flip in our local market. But I think it's like a limiting belief when people say like it's a competitive market, it's a competitive market. Everything is competitive when you look at it, right? It's just a matter of getting better in your skill set, putting yourself out there more, and like just not giving up, honestly. Because I there's a big competitor in my market. I'm not going to say who he is, but he's like the biggest guy here. And I've been at appointments where they just met with his acquisitions rep, and I'm there, and either they like me better or I do a better job at like connecting with them. So I'm not really scared with that. I'm not going to say who it is, but at every appointment, his acquisition rep went before me or is going after me. But I'm not scared of that. It's
Well,
just
that means you're doing something wrong if you're going there after him,
right.
right? So think of that.
Sometimes I'm the first one, so if I'm the first one, I'll help break loose. We're getting a
Yeah.
contract signed. His rep isn't coming in the door.
So,
Do
so
you
it's really about building that rapport and building that trust and credibility over everybody else. And a lot of people want to work with people they like, right?
Yeah, which like the benefit I have in my market is if I'm going in person, right? Virtually all I have is the phone. So really all you have to work with is like your sales skills, how empathetic you are, great open-ended questions, your tonality. So you're limited in a way. In person, you have a lot more to work with. Like you can see kind of their how they're reacting to what you're saying. You're actually in the house. So I mean it really depends. And I know we've had conversations about like being a woman in this space. There's not a lot of women that are doing what I'm doing because I run my business, I do acquisitions, I'm going to the appointments, I'm negotiating. And I think I have an advantage because I can sit there and listen and connect and really care more than like the next guy because we naturally have that in us as women. And I think it's a reason why we're going to be more successful if more women get into the business because I mean, I go my business partner and my other acquisitions rep like I mean, I'll go head to head with him and I can sit on the phone and gather a lot more information than either one of them because I know how, because I have that naturally in me. So I'm not scared of competition. I'm just figuring out at the end of the day who cares more and who's more present in that conversation is who that's what I've found.
Yeah, 100%. And can you, so is your company Cash Home Queens
No,
or
that's just another project that I have like from a branding side of things because I'm looking to get more women involved in real estate. The name of my company is SML Investment Group. So Smart Money Life is the name of
okay.
the company, yeah.
Can you tell us a little about the Cash Home Queens since we talked about getting more women involved in this space?
I haven't dived deep into that. It was an idea I had honestly like a couple years back, and then now I kind of transitioned and did the Smart Money Collective, which is a community that I'm building out. And there, I mean, we have women, we have men, but what we do is we teach people how to get started in real estate investing. That's our niche. Whether you want to get, you know, your first fix and flip or your first wholesale deal or novation, and we have education, we have weekly calls. So I've kind of transitioned and kind of opened it up to, you know, men and women, not to discriminate. But women naturally gravitate towards me. What I've heard in a lot of the conversations is, you know, I was interested in investing or wholesaling, but it looks scary. And the people that I'm seeing that are doing it online are all men. And the way they're conducting business seems very intense and aggressive. And when I saw you doing it, it made me feel like, hey, she's doing it. I like how she's kind of running things, and I feel like they see themselves in me. So that's big mission that I'm on, and I think by just putting myself out there, I'm getting more people to kind of open up to that idea, especially women.
Yeah. So
I
how
think you will do well that way.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. I think women naturally have more empathy, and empathy is like one of the biggest things in sales that helps. Like when you found out about like how did you find out about wholesaling? How did you find out about all of this?
On YouTube, didn't everybody find out about wholesaling on YouTube?
Yeah.
That's where we all started. So back in the I don't know if you guys are familiar with Max Maxwell. He was like the original
Mhm.
wholesale YouTube guy. So he did a conference in Dallas like long time ago. I think it was like must have been like 7 years ago, something like that. Back when he was still here. I know now he lives, you know, outside of the US and is doing something completely different. So I went to that mastermind. I sat there, paid my ticket, and then I saw everyone do the presentations, and I was like blown away. Like, this is it. This is what I need to be doing. They were doing case studies about like subject to deals and creative finance, and I was just like, just a regular agent, and it blew my mind. And then like everybody else, I was like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna take action. I
Yeah.
did it for like 2 months and then just went back to doing the realtor thing. And then I came back around through, my business partner. So, just like everybody, we're all the same. We get excited at the seminar and then we go back and we do nothing
Yep,
for
you
a
go
year.
home, you're like, "Oh, that was great, Imma make $1,000,000," and then I put everything to the side.
Pretty much, pretty
Yeah,
much. Yeah, because when you have a dream, right, but you don't have a foundation, a plan to execute, it goes nowhere. It's gonna
sure,
evaporate.
you have to put a plan right away. How am I gonna do this? What steps am I gonna take to get to that? Can I ask you, what was your first wholesale deal then?
My
Do you remember
first
that?
wholesale deal, let me think. It was a deal in Miami. Okay, I remember it. It was a transaction in Miami. I think we made 30K.
Wh
30K.
which is a lot.
Right, right.
Maybe not for Miami, I don't know, but in
It was
PA, that's a nice score.
It
Yeah.
was exciting, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we've done, like, six-figure wholesale deals, so, like, I mean, but at that moment, it was really exciting, it was my first deal, and, like, to be fully transparent with you, it took me, like, 6 months of grinding and grinding on the phones, on the phones, on the phones, and it was a deal that I didn't think was a deal, because when you're just starting out, you're not 100% on numbers, so then I
sure.
was like, "Let's do it, let's lock it up," and then we found a buyer right away, and I think that gave me, like, confidence. I remember calling my business partner so excited, like, we did it." Because you need that validation when you're starting out of like, this is real.
You need that first check, and then
Yeah.
you're
Proof
like,
of
"Wow,
concept.
man,
Yeah.
I could do this better."
And then you're off to the races. And then
Yeah.
the more and more you do, the better you feel in yourself. And like, you're never going back. Like from my personal experience, once I started investing and really doing it, there's no going back because there's really nothing else that compares to real estate.
So how did you get more into the creative side? Was it just like a necessity to be able to maximize all the leads that you had? Or how did you get into that? How did you learn about that? And can you explain what that is? What is creative finance? What's subject to? What's Go ahead.
Yeah, I love giving people their flowers that have kind of helped me in my career and shaped me. So Pace Morby, I was part of his mastermind, and he's like the sub two creative guy. So that I had seen his stuff like over and over and over and over again, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just take a crack at it and see what it is. And I made the investment in myself, paid for his mastermind, and then I started getting more like in the loop of like what creative finance was and slowly adding that to my business. It took me like a year after I had gone through that to add it to my business, and then we're just off to the races because I wanted to focus on really mastering like the cash offer side of things before I started sprinkling too many things and too many offers. And then once we had a good foundation there, I was like, let me start inserting like all these other things. So yeah, that's how I got started with that.
Awesome. I think that's a good key piece of information is you didn't just try to do everything at once. You narrowed your focus, got really good at one thing, and then expanded from there.
Yeah, because there's like shiny object syndrome in real estate.
Yeah.
Every time we hear, so I'm guilty of it too. I've learned that hard lesson to kind of stay in my lane. So you've got a good handle on that because like I go to like this real estate networking events and they're like, oh, mobile home parks now are like the thing, and I'm like, man, okay, I'm gonna drop whatever I'm doing and go do mobile home parks or new
Yeah.
construction.
I hate looking on Instagram or Facebook, and they always got something new, and I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" You know? I can't have all this stuff. I'm focused one way right now, but yeah, I've been there.
We all are, especially
And
when
and
you're.
and you lose. I end up losing. You know, I wanna jump into something, I jump in half ass, and then it fails.
Yep. And I do think like it's all within the same umbrella because it's real estate, but you have to give something your full focus and intention to really master it before you start to jump ship into the next thing and the next thing. And I've had to learn that the hard way because when your attention is, you're doing 10 different things, you're really not giving anything like fully 100% of your attention. So just
Okay.
lessons in life and
Yeah.
business.
It's
You have
tough when
to,
you're a go-getter.
yeah, you have to learn how to do everything. So you learned how to wholesale, you learned how to do novations, you learned how to do creative finance, you learned how to do everything, and then you have to learn how to be a business owner. So how are you running your business? How's that going? What have you learned from being a business owner, managing other people, and making things happen? because the buck stops with you as the owner.
Oof, yeah. So, oof, being a business owner honestly is like the biggest self-development kind of coaching path that anybody can take, because I've had to, at different levels of my career, I've had to become a better version of myself, or I'm going to stay stuck, is what I've realized. And every time there is like a hole in my business and I really look within, it has to do with something personally that I need to work on. Like if, if there's an income leak, it's because there's something that I'm not doing right, either from a leadership standpoint or something in me that's not allowing me to show up as my best self. Like, for example, with we were having a challenge with like price renegotiations, right? Because that's a conversation that a lot of times we don't want to have, because like we want to get things done at the price that we have it at, because we
Mhm.
want to do right by the sellers. And that was something that I internally like had that belief, like I always want to do right by them, and doing right is giving them exactly what we said we were going to give them. But market change, conditions change, and like now, you do one number and then in a 30 days you can't, because the market is just moving so quickly. So then I had to have a heart to heart with myself about like where that belief came from and what it was doing for my business. And once I had that belief and I decided like, look, I'm going to work through this, I came back and I built a system around price renegotiations and if we need to do it, how we're going to do it. But the kind of leak in income in that area was more had more to do with me and a belief that I held. So that's just like one example of figuring out like, hey, here's business and your personal life, but it's all intertwined. Your business and you a lot of times is like the same person. It's a reflection of who you are.
Yeah. You have a good heart, but you got to get paid also. I did the same thing. Like, so when we do new construction, we give a price, here's going to be, but things change over the course of building. And I was eating some of the money, and I had to have a discussion with me and my partner and say, hey, listen, we got to stop eating this and start. I'm going to say, hey, our numbers are off. So there's always a contingency, but I got to start charging them, and they don't really complain. If you're upfront in the beginning with them, letting them know, hey, markets could change, things could change, tariffs could hurt us, whatever it could be. And they know, and they're okay with it now. So I still make the same amount of money. That's,
Yeah.
and I feel good. I don't really care. But I was like you. I was like, you know what? It's only $10,000.
Yep.
Because I told them my number's my number, my word's my word. I'm trying to be this, and
Yep.
and and at the end of the day, they don't really care about me, because then they call a month later and say, hey, I think I see something on the wood floor. I go there and they drop the ink marker on it. Just got to scrub it off, so they don't really care about me. And I'm like, I'm gonna start getting my money. I hope none of my new homeowners that are buying houses from me are watching
Click.
this, but
They're watching this and they're like,
I
oh,
don't care. But
this Mike,
I
this
do them right.
Mike
I
guy.
do them right though. I do them right.
It's
I,
So
I heard a lot of accountability when you were talking about like everything was your fault. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like
oh
how
my god.
did you go from taking like you probably didn't start out that way, right?
No, I think we all have to go through. There's a lot of inner work that I've done. Like I'm really big into doing inner work, personal development, therapy, like whatever is required in order to work through all the traumas and all that childhood stuff that you carried with you, and to elevate yourself. So I've done a lot of work, like years and years and years of work to really get deep within like the victim, kind of the victim mindset. How do we let go of that? Because at the end of the day, like you are accountable for everything in your life, no matter what, right? And then once you become accountable for your decisions, then how do you not kind of berate yourself or beat yourself up every time you make a mistake? I had to work through that. Perfectionism, wanting everything to be done a certain way, I had to work through that. So it's been like years and years and years of developing that self-awareness and understanding like this is what I need to work on now, and let me dive into it. And then when it keeps coming back up again, understanding that it's a continual process, but it's a beautiful journey to be on, because the person I was like even 5 years ago to who I am now is a completely different person. I'm more self-aware, I'm more intentional about the things that I do and the decisions that I make. And I know there's like another version of me in the next 5 years that's coming. And I'm kind of working through the kinks of who I am now to become that next version of who I need to be. So it's like a never ending process for me, honestly.
Yeah. It,
do you so do you do any fix and flips? Do you own any rental properties? I mean, so when you get those leads, do you think for yourself first, or are you thinking I want to wholesale it? Like I would cherry pick as a whole. At first I just wholesaled, and then I started cherry picking, and then I wanted everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now what I'm battling with is that mindset of like money now versus making like $500 a month. And I will be transparent with you, making the money now in the last 2 years has seemed like the better choice.
Yeah.
As I start to transition into the next phase of my life, because in the next 2 to 3 years, I do want to like start a family and kind of have my life is going to transition. So then I have to make decisions from a different place. But in the last like couple years, we've just been about like, okay, we can make 30 or 40K or 50K or 60K, but we could make 500 or 1,000 renting it. Yeah, it doesn't seem enticing enough, but
No, it doesn't.
it's because I've been in this like work, 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 build, 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 build kind of mindset. So I know that has to change. And as my priorities change, I'm going to see things from a different place. But right now, just to be honest with you, like more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something too to figuring out how to run a business first before you. I started out buying rentals first, and what I learned is that if you become a better person, a better business owner, and you learn how to do real estate better, you're going to get better opportunities. So maybe buying a bunch of rentals right off the bat when you don't know anything is the best idea. Maybe figuring out real estate more first, getting a good active income, and then investing that is the way to go. So it sounds like, you made the right decision intuitively, which is cool.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. In Florida, do you to be a wholesaler, do you have to be a realtor?
No,
Okay,
no.
because in Pennsylvania they just changed the law this year, so you have to be a realtor. So could you, in Florida, can you wholesale in Pennsylvania if you wanted to, like virtually, because
That's a
you're a realtor?
That's a good question. I would assume you would have to be licensed in the area where you're
Pennsylvania,
doing it.
yeah,
Right, right, yeah. Florida is it's the wild, wild west,
yeah.
where you can do anything and everything. And it's pretty lax when it comes to regulations right now, right? Not to say that things aren't going to change. So we're preparing, and we were having that conversation in the last like 30 days of how we can kind of pivot and adjust if things do get more regulated. But right now, wholesaling is okay. There's, it's not, it hasn't changed. Things are still the same. But even if they do, like we fix and flip, right? So we have the capital to do that. So if things had to transition where now we're only fixing and flipping, like we're okay with that. It's not going to be a huge kind of impact on us. But yeah, Florida's pretty chill. Anybody wants to do, don't come to Florida. There's enough of us in Florida, but you want to do real estate investing, Florida is a chill place to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we probably lost 1,000,000 wholesalers in Pennsylvania because they're not becoming realtors. So they're probably going to Florida.
So
They
how does
are.
that work now? Because educate me on that. How have things changed for you guys on that end?
So they passed a bill January 5th or January 9th. It took effect, but you have to be a licensed agent. You have to have a 30-day rescind period within your contract. So the seller can cancel the contract for any reason up to 30 days after entering that contract. And you have to disclose everything. You have to run it through a broker. And I believe you have to get like disclosures where, the seller knows that they can get an appraisal and they sign off on not getting an appraisal. The biggest thing is the 30-day rescind period.
Mm.
So we see a lot of people that have adapted and they are licensed and they're still doing it. Um, but it's definitely not like it was for sure. And there's 100 different ways around it as well, but we
But
have seen a lot of people drop out.
which is good for investors, right? So I don't have to compete with 1,000,000 people now trying to wholesale in Pennsylvania. But yeah,
It
I'm
weeds out.
seeing more leads.
It weeds out some of the people, but the same is true for anything, right? Like, because I've been a licensed agent for some time now, and then once things started to change too with the buyer broker agreements and things like that, then a lot of people started dropping out. And as like the market has gotten tougher and tougher, really the only people that are surviving and like making any money are the ones that got really good at their systems or processes, sales. So I think it has forced real estate agents to elevate because a lot of them got by just doing like friends and family and not doing any prospecting or any sales. And I'm always a big proponent of like this is a sales business, so you have to, whether you're a real estate agent, if you're in the investment or wholesaling business, like you have to know sales and negotiations because that's the foundation of the business. So it weeds out the people that weren't serious about it, I think, and it just forces people to do things more ethically. It sounds pretty similar, Jake, to like innovation in a way, because in innovation you're disclosing that you're marketing the property, and that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, with I mean, you're not supposed to market the property. Like that's comes down as a broker activity is marking the property before taking title. So just marketing your equitable interest is a broker activity. I mean, it's still I think it's happening like everywhere right now, and there hasn't been a lot of people that have been to court yet. So it's not clear yet exactly. A lot of the language is super vague, so that it covers a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, if you're not taking title and you're marketing the property before taking title, that seems to be where the catch up is. So if you have a bunch of capital and you're able to take things down or double close them and everything, like you completely bypass the law. So it's just getting it out. I mean, it's getting a lot of the lower level people out, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beginners are done.
Yeah, which it's tough. It's tough to start this business now because it's, you have to have a marketing budget, and the days of just doing bandit signs have been over for a really
Yeah.
long time.
Were you doing bandit signs?
No, I got into it later.
Okay.
Back when I got introduced to wholesaling, that was like the thing, is like bandit signs, bandit signs. I haven't heard about bandit signs in years.
Yeah, no, I see commercials about, like, bandit signs, they're out, and they throw them away. Yeah, listen, when I first put it out, I put my personal website, I put my real phone number, and the zoning office used to always call me, "Yo, you got 2 minutes to get these out of here, I'm giving you a $500 letter fine." I'm like, "What?" Then meanwhile, I got them 20 feet up on a telephone pole, I'm trying to climb up there. Yeah, it's a mess.
It was used to be crazy back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it started, YouTube and bandit signs,
How long
and
have you been doing this? It seemed like you've been at it for a minute.
yeah, for a while. But wholesaling, I started off in wholesaling, I got out of it quick. I didn't really like it, but I do it. I just like I said, I use it to cherry pick. I was doing flips, and now I do all new construction, and I'm trying to do some flips with Jake.
Mike's a modular guy. Yeah.
Yes, I do custom modular housing,
Nice. I'm really interested in that. I've been
and
doing
it's unbelievable because I could build you could be living in your house in 4 to 6 months, complete. There's no delay. The only delay I got right now is it's been raining here so much is to set the house because I can't bring a crane and these 50,000 pound modulars, they're sinking into the ground. So, but otherwise, snow, the really, because they're building it off site.
Yeah, and then you just drop it in.
Yeah,
That's
they're built better. They're everything. It's just, I don't want to even talk. I always talk about modular. So I don't want to talk about modular, but it works for me, and people like it
yeah.
because on site to build on site, Jake will say different, but it takes 12 to 16 months. They
Yeah.
get held up, and
I don't know.
Jake
Versus,
Jake
ver-
thinks Jake builds a house in 2 weeks, so it's different.
I have trust issues. If my house is being built in 2 weeks, what's going on?
I would too, but Jake could do it.
So the modular versus just a ground up. How long does it take to finish a modular?
4 months.
Oh, 4 months. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So like as we do site work, say, a stick builder and a modular guy, we both do the same amount of site work. But as I'm doing the site work, I actually have your house being built in the factory. Now we're both done. The stick builder and the modular guy are done. He's got to start framing a house. We're backing it in. Beep, beep, we're lifting a crane and it's nice. I'm already done when he's getting his first inspection for rough plumbing and electric.
yeah. I
I'm
mean, it
I'm
seems
putting the house down, and I'm putting big houses. We're doing a few 4 to a little over 5,000 square foot homes, so it's not like everything's a ranch. They think they're like mobile homes. They're totally different now. All luxury. Nice.
that's interesting. Do you
Yeah.
see the future kind of
Yes.
going towards that direction?
Because you can't your contractors don't wanna work. There's not enough contractors, right? And then those contractors are always slow. They're always looking for the next job, so they'll leave your job to start looking for another job and bid. At the factory, they all work there. They get health insurance. They're not looking for another job. So I'm going to a factory at 12 when we're all done with this with a customer, and there's 300 people in there hammering homes. They do 6,000 modulars a year out of there.
That's
That's a lot.
yeah,
That's a lot.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's future too. But so we just talked about like snow and stuff like that in Pennsylvania. Is there anything that's like unusual that you've encountered in Florida, in the Florida market?
Just hurricanes and alligators.
Yeah, alligators are probably not a good selling point.
I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I mean, South Florida is it's an interesting market because we have a lot of people coming from international buyers that we deal with. There's a lot of investor activity, so it's a really quick market, and a lot of times you're competing with people that have a lot more money that are coming in from, like, I don't know, like Argentina or Colombia, that they just want to park their money here. So we do have a lot of international money here and investments here in Florida. As far as like an investment standpoint, from like a fix and flip or wholesale standpoint, it's a market where you just have to be very mindful of other investors. Is one thing that I have found, is that the rules of investing here, there are none, and people can come and take your deal or call your seller, like all of that, which I don't know if happens in other markets. It definitely
Yeah.
happens in Florida.
I think it happens in Florida more. I mean, there's a lot of sharks down there that
Yeah.
are, they come from everywhere. Everybody that left New York City went down there, like a lot of sharks. So how are you protecting your deals? What are you doing to protect your deals?
Yeah, a lot of sharks, and not just in the ocean. They're out
That's
in the streets. No, I mean, I think the better relationship that you have with the seller, the easier it is, and the more transparent that you are with this. I'm at a point where I set expectations, and I try to be very clear about the process, and that we may bring partners onto the property. That. So I just try to disclose as much as possible to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So when somebody comes in and says like, "Hey, I want to buy the house," they feel comfortable going to me and being like, "Hey, this guy came and told me this." So it hasn't been an issue where the seller went behind our back or did something else, because we built a lot of trust on the front end. So I think that's the difference maker.
awesome. You talked to me. We were talking recently at Collective Genius, and you said that you were trying to get more women, well, more people involved and do the education side of things, and like I can you explain that? Can you talk to us about that? Like what you're trying to do now with basically helping other people and how that would help your business?
Yeah. So honestly, I think, like, I was doing some reflection this morning in my morning walk. I really do think in another life I was like a teacher or something like that, because it's a natural thing in me. I enjoy it. I like teaching people. I like helping people. And through the investment space, I can do that to sellers, and it feels rewarding. But honestly, helping people get like their first fix and flip, or their first wholesale deal, or like their first property that's like a buy and hold, that fills me up with so much joy. And I didn't know how much I enjoyed it till I started giving it like more intention. And it sounds cliche because you're like, oh, helping people, but like it really is, I think, where my path is, and my passion, and where I feel the most fulfilled is teaching other people. Not everyone has that. I know some people are like, I hate teaching people, or I don't have the patience. I have so much patience and so much understanding for like where someone is, because I was in their shoes, like, just a few years back. So I really, really, I want to put more intention and passion into it, because I think that's like my life's mission and purpose, especially more like being a woman in this space. I feel like I want to bring more women in and get them interested in investing, and just kind of break some of that barrier. Because even in Collective Genius, it's a very small percentage of women, and then it's mostly men. And I just don't understand kind of the disconnect, why more women are not in this space.
Yeah, I don't get it either, to be honest with you.
It's
What are you teaching people mostly? Like like are you going from deal structuring to how you negotiate?
Wow, Jake.
What does your average question look like?
We lost you, Jake. You went cold on us. You went.
Yeah, you froze on us.
Oh wow. Well, I have Starlink and it must be cloudy. But
It
the like if someone's has a question, like what does your average question look like? Like what are you teaching? Is it how to structure the deal, how to negotiate with the buyer and seller? What does the average training lesson look like?
Yeah, so we have a platform where we have modules, right, on different topics. Like, for example, we have acquisitions from A to Z, like handling objections, how to, negotiate different types of offers. So we have modules on dispositions, underwriting, acquisitions. We do weekly calls. We just did a novation training, like novation specific training, and Airbnb training, and fix and flip. So because we have experience in all these different exit strategies, we give you kind of all the options, and then we have you kind of choose what you want to focus on. It's a lot of beginners. So I don't really work with people that, have been doing this for 20 years plus, just because it's hard to break old habits from people that feel like they know best, and like,
yeah, they
you know,
won't listen. They don't listen at all.
exactly.
I try to
So
help some of them out, and they just it's okay.
So that's not my avatar. I work with a lot of agents that understand real estate already, but just don't understand our side of the business. Because I was like shocked at how much agents don't know anything about investing, like even running numbers on like what a good fix and flip is, which you should basically know. Because if you're servicing clients and telling them like, hey, here's this deal, they don't know how to calculate cash flow, cash on cash return, fix and flip numbers. So that's a big part of it, teaching them what are the different kind of exit strategies or ways to make money in real estate investing, how to figure out what a good deal is, what to say when you have a seller on the phone that wants a cash offer versus a listing. So we work with a lot of real estate agents. I think like a big chunk of my community is real estate professionals and then people that are just starting out. So sales, underwriting, the foundations of real estate investing pretty much. Exit strategy, sales, underwriting. And then we do a weekly call for support and then we do a call just focused on sales because that's really my kind of jam. I love sales. I
So
love psychology. I love sales.
do you team up with them? Like,
Yeah,
say so you're teaching them and say, "Okay, you bring me a deal, and I'm gonna do 70-30, 50-50, whatever So are you generating business that way also for yourself?
exactly. Yeah. So we do joint venture opportunities too for them. So as they're learning and navigating like this new world of real estate investing, my team can come in and close a deal for them. We deal with the paperwork, the transaction coordination, we find the buyer. So it's a encompassing process like everything, right? We show you how to do it, we help you close it, and then once they're like up and running and they've got a couple deals in the pipe, they're off to the races. Like
Yeah.
that's the goal, right? That they don't need you anymore because now
Sure.
they're
But
so good at it.
then you built up your network
Exactly.
because later on when they need help with something, they could call you back or they could joint venture with you on anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's great.
and that's a big part of it. From a business standpoint, it makes sense too, because if you're giving that a lot of intention, but you're also getting deals from it, like it works too. So it's helped us as well from like our business standpoint. And then it's really rewarding and it's fun and it's a lot more exciting for some reason for someone to make like, we have right now we had one community member that like crushed it and made 98K on his first novation deal. So he was like
Wow. That
ecstatic, ecstatic about that.
damn.
Yeah, we have another one that's doing his first wholesale deal 73K. So like, I
Jake,
mean,
we're in the wrong market, Jake.
I know we are. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
yeah. I mean, it's South Florida. You play with bigger
Big
numbers. So
numbers, yeah.
it's really it's the money piece is really exciting for them because it's kind of like they've opened up to this whole new world of possibilities that they didn't even know existed.
Yeah, but that is exciting. You can imagine making $98,000, that could take a normal person, that could be a year and a half worth of money,
Yeah.
One
Not
deal.
that they ju yeah, one deal, but they had to work for it. People just think it's free money, but they had to work, but it's nice.
Yeah.
Then you get addicted, and
Yep.
then your next deal is 5 grand, you get a little upset, but
It's not, let's keep it real though, like,
yeah,
not every deal is, like,
that's right.
98K, like, you have deals that you make 30 on, you have deals that you do 40, you have deals where you do 5 because you're like, "Let me just get this deal over with and get this done," like, it
We've had
depends.
I've had deals where we made just nothing, but
Mhm.
we helped somebody out,
Exactly.
and Jake has done the same thing too,
I've
so
lost money a bunch of times.
yeah,
So
but because we really care about those people. There's a difference between certain wholesalers and stuff. Me and Jake, I care about people. I know Jake cares about people, and it sounds like you care about people.
Mhm.
It is about money too, but sometimes, this guy's gonna live in the street, and I
Yeah.
just sell his home for a break even, and he can move on, and maybe something down the road, I'm gonna get the 98,000 next. But
yeah.
I care so much about people, like, a
yeah,
big
I do.
part of me in
I
my
when I
identity is doing right by people and, like, never screwing anybody over and doing business in an ethical way. I don't know if this is, like, a woman or men thing, but, like, for me, people come first and the money comes second.
that's
I'm
how it's supposed to be.
motivated.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm motivated by money, but it doesn't fulfill anything within me. Like my ego isn't dependent on like how much money I'm making or like the car that I'm driving. Like for me, it's about like purpose and feeling fulfilled with what I'm doing and knowing that what I'm doing is providing value and helping. Whether it's a seller, I'm not going to screw anybody over ever for money,
yeah.
like
It's
ever.
not worth it.
It's
Not
not
worth
worth.
it.
What are you doing to get deals? Like, how are you marketing?
We're doing right now Facebook ads and YouTube ads, and then we're playing around with AI. AI. We just kind of started training our AI to do cold calls for us. So it's been a process to get him to sound like a real human being. But my business partner is really excited about that. I'm old school. I still think humans need to cold call themselves, but he's
No,
really
AI is pretty cool.
it
Yeah.
is. I'm like a young like one young person in an old person's body. I just got Chat GPT. I refused to get it. I was all against AI, and then I went on. I actually heard Gary Vee talking about like if you don't get with AI, you're gonna be left behind. And I'm like, damn it, let's get with AI.
Yeah. It's not that. It's pretty addicting.
Yeah.
It is now. I Chat GPT everything, like
Yeah,
even what
yeah.
movie I want to watch
I
today.
I don't think anymore. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say."
I will tell you one thing, it's caused a lot of arguments. Like in my group chat with my friends, anytime there's an argument, there's like ChatGPT screenshot, ChatGPT screenshot. Like
Yeah,
now
yeah.
everybody thinks they know better
Yeah.
than you just because they can ChatGPT things.
That's funny.
Yeah. So you're implementing AI calling right now. How's that going?
It's so fresh right now. We're just in the process of training the AI. Like we gave him a script. It's like my business partner is the one that handles kind of like the marketing side of things in our business, but we gave him a script. We're listening to it. Then we have to make adjustments, tonality shifts. So you have to train it to where you're comfortable with it. But the benefit from a cost standpoint, it's a lot cheaper and it can dial like way more than any human being could in that amount of time. So
Sure. It
he
works
seems excited about it.
it'll work 24/7, no one's gonna die, be late, I'm sick. It just works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where I think it lacks is I don't think, and maybe it's a limiting belief that I have, I don't think it could do like acquisitions. Like, I don't think it can take someone through like a pain funnel and then walk them through, how you're going to help them get out of this bad situation that they're in. I don't think the empathy piece is ever going to, but I don't know. I may be
I
speaking
don't
too soon.
know, you might be
I
yeah.
No,
don't know.
I agree with you. I think I was up till 2 in the morning working on voice AI, and there's something to a business development person, like even how we're talking right now, there's a little bit of like anxiety or hesitation. Like it's going to be really hard for AI to match completely how a human sounds. You
Sure,
know, it's
because we have to think, we have to process it. There, it doesn't it's already
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's
It
a
needs
little bit
an
too
operator,
professional.
right?
Yeah. I say, "Hey,
It's the
what's the
way
weather
I see.
today?" And it's speaking.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think things are going to be different in the next, 5 to 10 years in our industry and every industry. So we just have to adjust, not get left behind. But let's see. I can tell you in like, give me like 3 months of testing it out to tell you whether, it's a hit or not. But I know there's people that are already implementing in their business for like different things. So we'll see what happens with that. In the meantime, we do ads like Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and that's doing well. You'll see me. Hey, do you want to sell your house for a cash offer?
How does YouTube work? Is it working which is better, you think, YouTube or Facebook?
We've been doing Facebook for longer, so we've kind of figured it out how to make it make sense for us. YouTube, we just started it this year, so it's a process of trial and error, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. So I mean, it's working. It's generating leads, it's generating contracts. It's not working as good as Facebook, but just because we've been doing Facebook for a longer period of
Sure.
time, yeah,
yeah. We do have AI like field a lot of those Facebook messages that come in just initially to say, hey, what's going on? And AI kind of does a lot of those conversations. I think with the SMS and text, AI is going to completely take that over.
yep,
But hopping on the phone and closing, that's going to be a little bit longer for sure,
yeah.
which sounds like is your specialty. So AI is going to do nothing but help you and make you more efficient, it sounds like.
Yeah, now we have a new objection to deal with. Are you AI or are you a real person?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
And you know what? You go to all the houses, you personally go and meet them?
Depending on the situation, we do a lot of stuff virtually, but if it's local and I feel I need to go in person because there's a competitive advantage, like
Yes.
there's other offers or like I feel like we're almost there on price, like I'll go meet, but most of it, like 90% is virtual.
Okay.
So I've been seeing a lot of things in my feed about Florida and like days on market is going up, inventory is going up. What are you seeing in the Florida market? How's it changing?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff though is from a macro standpoint. Like it's hard to really do that because everything is different. Like every asset class is a little bit different. Like the condo market right now is the one that's suffering the most because due to what happened with that building falling down, which was really unfortunate. A lot of regulations have come through. So the condo market is really slow and there's a lot of inventory and things aren't moving. And then when people say like Florida's not doing too well, it's because a big chunk of it is the condo market. But the single family market is moving slower. But if it's priced well, it's in a good area, it's going to move. So I think it's more the condo market than anything that's hurting right now.
So there's a lot of condos on the market now
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because they're worried about their building falling down?
There's a lot more regulations that get added to condos with regards to reserves. All the condos have to have a certain amount of reserves now. So there's a lot more assessments. So as soon as assessments start to come up, people don't want to pay it. They start selling. Value of the community goes down. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
condo owners are navigating right now.
Can you Airbnb those?
Nope, most of them
No.
you can't because of the rules of the association. They
Yeah,
are building in South Florida. There is a lot of buildings that are built just for Airbnb. So there is a lot of that. So if they wanted to, the challenge with that is that if everyone in the building, the units look exactly the same as Airbnb,
sure.
how are you going to differentiate yourself?
That's right, and it becomes just a hotel.
Pretty much. Pretty much. That's what I've seen as a challenge with those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say right now is a buying opportunity in Florida since there's been a little bit of a drop and not as much demand as there was, say in 2020?
I think there's more sellers that are negotiable, especially 90 days on the market plus. And we've seen, so depending on where the market's at, you can tell from the conversations you have with sellers, like how they're feeling about the market. Because back when everybody was selling in Florida and it was crazy and they were getting over asking, like the sellers were willing to negotiate because they were like, oh, I can ask whatever I want for my house. But now, like even properties that are listed on the market after 90 days, like they're willing to take a lot less. So I would say, yeah, it's a good place to be right now and negotiate. If it's a property that's been on the market, I would wait 90 days because within 30 days, everyone feels like they're gonna get, their house is a Taj Mahal and they're gonna get the best.
Sure. They
90
start
days in,
and by the 2nd month, they start getting a little depressed. The 90th day, they're like,
yeah,
we gotta sell this."
it's finally hitting, right? Because it takes like the sellers a little bit to understand where the market's at. Because even 2 months ago, I would call them and they were like, "Oh, the market," but now the conversations are different. They understand that the market's saying the properties are staying on the market longer. So like now things are starting to shift from a mindset
Yeah.
standpoint.
Especially schools are closing now, right? Everyone's home, now they wanna buy and move in before the new year,
Yep,
before the new school season. So now
Yeah.
I would be like, I would drop
to
if
try
I
to
was
make a move. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, are you seeing more success with creative finance now that that's the case?
100%. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Especially so we've gotten a lot of creative finance deals from agents going through the MLS and talking to agents. It's a different process because you have to educate the agent and the seller. But what happens is the agents want to sell. Before, they weren't even open to the idea because, it's a complex thing and they thought they were going to sell it. But right now, if they feel like after 90 days their seller hates them, they're looking at every option. So I think right now, at least for us, it's a good time. We're calling agents and having conversations with agents and pitching things that maybe like 2 3 years ago they would say no to. So yeah, it's a good time for
Are you
sure.
are you doing a lot of subject to now too? With people that
it's
maybe
not a big
maybe
it's not a
overpaid?
big not a big part of my business.
Yeah.
It's an exit strategy that I have, but it's not like a big chunk of my business. It's a small percentage of my business.
How are you talking to the agents? Like, how are you pitching that to agents? How are you educating them? How does that
Yeah,
typically go?
it's a tough conversation because you have to break through like limiting beliefs and all this stuff that they think is illegal. I think like the fact that I'm an agent helps because there's like a credibility piece, right? So starting there is easier. I have an advantage there. It's educating them about pros, cons. And I think for me, it's about being super transparent about everything. Like you have to educate them on the do on sell clause, what happens, what are the ways to avoid it, what we put in place, systems and processes to avoid that from happening. If it does happen, what's plan B? So like I'm super transparent. I'm not a big fan of like pitching someone something and then surprises coming back later. I explain it to them and I explain pros, cons. And as long as they disclose everything to their client and their client is on board, we'll move forward. But if the client has hesitation or doesn't feel comfortable, then that's not a deal that I'm going to push through. With sub two, everything has to align. Everyone has to understand and be on board because it's at the end of the day, it's a high risk situation because someone's taking over someone's payment. So if the seller has even like a shred of doubt, I'll still try to address it and get them to feel comfortable. But if there's still like that shred of doubt and they're not comfortable, I'm gonna pull away from that deal because I don't like pushing stuff through that I feel is gonna be long term, like not a good situation for everybody.
Sure. Because
I can
it doesn't actually come back to you, right? But you put it
it no
together.
Not really. As long as you put disclosures in place and like our paperwork has disclosures where the seller signs off and acknowledges everything, all the pros and cons. But agents always have that concern like, is this legal? And am I breaking any laws by like, my broker or, so it takes a little bit of educating. And sometimes we put extra documentation in place so they feel comfortable, like extra disclosures where like, they're saying that they explain everything to the seller and they're not liable for anything. So it's a disclosure business. As long as you can disclose,
Yep.
everyone understands it. Where people get in trouble is you lie, you hide things, you make
Sure.
things seem smaller than they are when that is a valid risk. Like just be honest and do fair business and I think everyone's gonna be in a better place.
Are
You're not
you
gonna
are you a broker?
No, no,
No?
no. I'm actually part of EXP Realty.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a really good community there that we've built
Yeah.
out as well.
Good network.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the benefits is you have buyers from all over the world trying to buy there. So, like me, I'm looking. If you find a vacation home on Creative Finance, I'm looking. So I know you
That's
sent me a couple things already, but
Yeah, yeah,
keep
yeah.
sending them.
I'm
So
sure my team has sent you some stuff already.
yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
have. So, but I'm looking. So keep me in mind.
sure. Come on over to Florida. Get away from the cold. And Jake is actually in Scranton, so I was watching The Office last night.
Oh, The Office.
I've never seen it. Never seen it. But
Oh, he told me that, and I was offended. As
Yeah, that's crazy. He buys a lot of houses in Scranton. Never knew The Office was made there.
well, I used to have an apartment like the intro, like it would zoom in on my apartment where I used to live. But
no
that's I do
way.
know that. So.
Yeah, well, I can't believe it. I was offended. It has to be like one of the all-time best TV shows ever made,
People
at
like
least in
it.
my opinion.
Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you if one for education, if they want to work with you and learn about real estate, uh, or how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so Aidelys, so it's AIDELYS underscore real estate is my Instagram handle. That's where I spend a lot of my time. So you can DM me there, ask me questions, follow me. I do a lot of free content with like sales, negotiation, underwriting. So just following me there, you'll get free value. And if you feel like you need more support, then DM me and then we'll set up a call with our team to see how we can help you.
All right, I'm
Awesome.
gonna follow you now.
Follow me.
Done.
So we'll put your links in the description, and anybody that's interested in finding out more, they can contact you directly. Is that your handle right there? The
That's
at
my
Yeah,
handle. Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
awesome.
Strategic. Yeah, that's my handle. That's me. I'm on every social media channel, but Instagram is really where I spend most of my time. So follow me there, connect with me, ask questions, whatever I can do to help you in your journey. I'm here for you. I got you.
Is there any tips, tricks that you'd like to leave the audience with? Any like grand piece of advice you'd like to say?
Get started. I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Once you get started, align yourself with people that have done it because a lot of times the people in your surroundings haven't done it, don't believe in it, and you let other people's ideas and limiting beliefs kind of enter your brain. So if you decide that this is a path you want to take, you have to decide. It can't be like in and out, in and out. Decide, start, take action, and align yourself with people that have the same goals and visions in you. That's the key. Nothing else. That's the key.
Do you have any books, podcasts, or recommendations like that?
Yeah. So, what are some books that right now? I'm in like a personal development kind of phase where I'm reading every single book, but personal development focused. But as far as from a real estate standpoint, oh god, I hate to say rich.
Well, is there a good personal development one? I mean, that's
I
important
hate
too.
to say rich dad poor dad because that's where everybody kind of started. If I had $1 for every time I asked someone like how'd you get started in real estate investing, and that's like oh rich dad poor dad.
And they probably didn't even read it, they just know it. They know the title.
That's like the Bible, I think, of like getting
Yeah.
started in real estate investing. And from a personal development standpoint, I mean, one really good book is Kristen Neff, I think, is the author. It's Self Compassion. It's a really good book that teaches you about like when you're in this journey and figuring things out, how to be compassionate towards yourself. That's a big part of it. And then right now, I'm reading a book called Not Nice. can't remember the author's name, but it talks about, how to stop people pleasing, learning to say no, being more assertive, going after the things that you really want in life. So I think those three, because one gives you the foundation of real estate, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad. The other one gives you, how to treat yourself better as you're learning and growing. And the other one teaches you how to like really just stand up for yourself and go after what you want without, people pleasing and all that, BS that we learned growing up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Awesome.
that's
Well, thank
awesome,
you
yeah.
so much. Thanks
Appreciate
for
you guys. You guys
You
are awesome. I like Mike's background right there. I got to level up. Looks
well,
like
that's no, that's my bar behind me. I just,
Well, you're
wow.
alcoholic.
I
That's
hit a
why.
blue light on it real quick.
Looks like he's in Vegas right now. I like
Yeah, no,
that.
I'm in my basement, to be honest with you, but and
I
these
love
lights
it.
are making me look pale white. I gotta fix them, but that's next time.
I'm like, no, man. I like whatever's going on back there. Looks like a party. I want to join. That looks fun.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have to go see a client now, but yeah.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Invite me back anytime. This was
well,
fun.
yeah, we gotta do 1 year later for sure.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Do you have any goals that you're looking to accomplish by next year?
Next year when we bring you back on.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do more deals, continue to grow my community. I think next year I may start to hold more stuff. So right now I'm in a stage where we just want to flip everything or wholesale everything or novate everything. But I think as the year progresses, I'm going to get into doing more buy and holds, more Airbnbs, and I do want to get into new construction next year.
It's
So
fun.
maybe doing my first like new build. So you can give me some tips there.
Yeah, new construction, definitely try it. You know,
Yeah. So
you know what you're getting into. You know what it's gonna cost. You know everything before there's no surprises.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's
just
still surprises, but there's very limited.
yeah.
Unless there's a burrowed turtle on your land in Florida, like those things come up.
Or alligator, I can't help you with that, but yeah.
But I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Florida has these turtles where it's like $9,000 to relocate these endangered
Really? I've
turtles.
never heard of it. Yeah. I know
Yeah,
there's certain trees you can't cut down, so obviously that's a bit of a hassle. But I haven't heard of these turtles.
Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I've heard a couple things. So
I'll let
it's
you know if I find any of them. Let
yeah,
me know when you watch The Office, so then we can have like a heart to heart, and you can tell
I
me
will.
if you like it. If you don't like it, we can't be friends. I might just block you.
I'll watch The Office and we'll come back next year and see if we hit our goals. See if I watch The Office by then,
Yeah. And
and
if
we'll
you
go.
have any questions about new construction or modular, always reach out to me.
For sure, for
I'll
sure.
I'll friend you I'll follow you on Instagram.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys.
Okay.